Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Global Domination. I am super stoked today to have this awesome professional, Matthew Berg, hailing from Montana, on the show today. Every week we're talking about how do you obtain global domination in real estate. Well, I'm extremely excited, Matt, because unlike most everyday real estate professionals, you have got some other credentials behind your name. You are actually a business broker / commercial real estate broker. And so I'm excited to have you on the show today. Welcome, Matt. Thanks for coming.
Oh, thanks for the introduction, Stephanie. I'm excited to be here. It's always great to talk with you and just kind of talk about different things coming up in the market. You're an excellent mentor, so I'm ready to go.
Oh, good. Well, I'm excited too for our audience today because I think we're going to shed some light on things that they may not even know they have access to. You know, one of the missions in my world is to always help other agents achieve ways to earn income. And so that's what we're going to dive into today. But before we get there, I want to talk about you, Matt. How did you get into real estate? Let's go back a little bit.
So way back in 2017, my wife decided that she wanted to start a business, and we found this old property in kind of our downtown Main Street that was pretty rough shape. I mean, really rough shape. And I didn't know how we were going to finance the renovations at the time. My bank kind of said, "Hey, I think if you guys get the ball started, we could probably help you guys get going, but it kind of got to help us get to the vision." And what that meant was I had to rack about $50,000 on my personal credit card to get to get it started. So I went all in right away. My wife and I did, and then they kind of saw the vision and helped us fund it from there, and was able to pay my card back. So I went all in. As an entrepreneur, that's kind of what you have to do, right? You have to have that mentality that things are going to be tough, but if you see the vision, you write out the numbers and they make sense, you just go for it. And we were able to convert that into a beautiful space for her store. We later on did an Airbnb on the top of it, made it feel almost like a Chicago loft when it was in Eastern Montana. So it was a really good hit. We did well on Airbnb. The business did well, and it was a good kind of kickoff to our real estate career.
Awesome. So you became interested in real estate by actually investing in real estate. So then what took you to the level of getting the license and obtaining that?
Well, after that, we decided to buy another property. And then we kind of did the same thing. It was another old building from 1903. The other one was 1901. Kind of gutted that, leased it out, kind of learned the processes of how to do that. And then after that, I was like, hey, I kind of want to get more into this. And that's kind of when I decided to start researching what I need to do to become a real estate professional. And then, we ended up selling the first business and then that next building within 21 and 22. And selling the business was kind of the next kind of start, right? We were able to, there was so much information we didn't know how to do it. And everyone we asked didn't really know how to do it. And I mean, the attorneys kind of we talked to were like, oh, this is a little bit different. Our CPAs were a little questionable about the process on valuation. So that was when we're like, hey, I think there's a need for this. Let's really try to figure this out.
And you all did, because not only did you dive into what does it take to become a business broker, but you started consulting with other business owners that were looking to sell. But your wife, Brianna, we can't leave her out because she's the rock star behind the scenes. We'll have to get her on the show one day. But she is a certified valuation expert. And so marrying the two of those together has really driven your interest, but also carved out that special niche that very few people know how to do.
Yeah, that makes it really helpful too. I mean, especially when we're talking in the early stages to anybody that's looking about selling their business. I always say, hey, if it's not the right time for you right now, let's at least see what it's valued at. And maybe this will determine, hey, am I ready to list it now? Or do I need to do some work and kind of improve different aspects of the business to get it ready to sell? Because a lot of times businesses aren't ready to sell. And there's things that they have to do to get to that point. And that's a huge thing I think that we can, consult with them about and kind of the next steps for them.
Yeah, and get them on that path to how do we get it sellable and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, I love this aspect because there's so many real estate professionals out there that have built a book of business. They've got past clients, active clients, they've got their entire sphere of influence, and they're real estate professionals, whether they're in residential or commercial, you know, they know their expertise. But you bring an entirely different spin of expertise. And I always tell agents and brokers, you know, even though you don't specialize in selling businesses and your brokerages probably wouldn't even allow you to, right? Because there's a totally different set of credentials. There are experts within, which is why I wanted you on the show today, because they can be reaching out to their sphere and asking those questions. Do you have a business you want to sell, or do you have a business that you want to value? And like me, you're building your business on referral, and
Mhm.
you love paying agents referral fees for bringing those opportunities to you.
Oh, for sure. I mean, anytime you can work with others to, gain for yourself too, and help them in the process of trying to figure that out. Because really, selling a business, there's so many aspects to it, right?
Right.
It's not as simple as just a transaction. There's so much due diligence that goes into selling a business, where to list the business, how much money do I actually need to get out there to list the business, who do I need to contact to get this business sold. So there's just so much to the process. And education, the things that I did learn through like the IBBA helped, but a lot of firsthand experiences, I feel like, is what really got me there to understand what it takes to actually get it sold. It is not easy to sell your business,
Not
and
at all.
it's not an easy process. Even if you have a great business, it takes time. And I mean, you wish it wouldn't take time, but a lot of times it does. 8 to 12
Absolutely.
months, I think, is what the typical range it takes to sell your business.
That's right. That's right. And even though you are residing in the state of Montana, you can represent businesses pretty much everywhere, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's the one cool thing with EXP is that you can sell in all 50 states. So, when I first thought about what brokerage I wanted to join, I had Sam, your husband, in my class in the IBBA courses, and he kind of told me about EXP, and it sounded pretty interesting. And I was like, okay, because I talked with a ton of different firms about what their process was like, commission structures, all that types of things. And EXP was definitely the right fit for, an entrepreneur that's a self-starter that has a bunch of resources. It was a no-brainer for me.
Absolutely. Well, and you were able to expand your market because, one of the things about real estate is they teach us and train us, whether it's in school or continuing ed or even the brokerage we affiliate with, they're always teaching us to be extremely local. Know your marketplace, just master that. And especially in your industry of representing businesses, it doesn't so much have any bearing on where that business is located. It's based on a totally different set of credentials as to what that business is worth, who's in the market for it, and so forth. And so it's not like learn this zip code, Matt, and then you can sell businesses in that zip code. So
Mm.
that's what Grow Global and Global Domination is all about is that if you've got a niche that you want to expand outside of your neighborhood, so to speak, you have the opportunity to do that with EXP. And so, you're representing businesses that may or may not be in Montana. They can be anywhere and everywhere. And Brianna's doing valuations on businesses all over the United States. And that I know for a fact because she does our valuations.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's cool about it. Because I mean, part of the industries that I know well, being in, the auto and tire industry, retail, some of the online stores, that they can be anywhere. It does make it easier for me to work with somebody because,
Yeah.
we're doing an evaluation on somebody in Wisconsin that has a great business and something I'm very familiar with. If I would have joined more of a localized firm, it would have really been a tough challenge. A lot of times you have to get licensed in that state to sell the property. It's just more of a challenge. And with EXP, there's just way more doors open. So if you want to focus on your industry, you can really take that across all 50 states.
Well, and I know too, and you have these experiences as well as, our team where we'll get listings that they did use a very local small brokerage to represent and nothing happened because that small little brokerage doesn't have the reach of the entire globe, nor do they have the technology and the advertising platforms to really put that listing where it needs to be to get enough eyes and exposure on it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not just about the splits and the tools, it's also about the exposure and how we're able to truly get the highest and most best money for our clients.
True. Yeah, and I think that that's the thing that is really important. I mean, when you take a listing, you need to get that listing exposed, right? Like I look at how much I spend per month on just my listings, and I didn't know that up front how much it was going to cost me to really do this right. But I want to do it right because I feel
Yeah.
like if you're going to take somebody's business that they've worked really, really hard on for all these years, and you're going to just not really put the effort into getting it sold, that's a huge issue. I think I use like 6 different listing sites. It's well over 3,500, I think, a month now that I
Yeah.
spend, and it's just
But
you,
they're big deals and they're big paychecks.
yeah, and you better be representing that well, because if you don't have the money to do that, then
Yeah.
really you as a business owner, I wouldn't want a broker to handle my listing if they weren't going to be getting it out there. So it's a huge part of, I think, pushing that out there, and then having resources within EXP like you guys. Hey, I take on a listing. Do you know a buyer for this? And be able to network inside of EXP is really helpful with that too.
Absolutely. There's going to be over $3 trillion worth of businesses bought and sold over the course of the next 3 years because of the baby boomers looking to
Mhm.
retire. And I think it's fair to say, at least statistically, this has been published in numerous publications. It's on the news practically daily, where they don't hand their business down to the children anymore. The children have gone on and done something else. They've set themselves up in a totally different career. And I know that from experience. My dad built a phenomenal business, but I wanted my own legacy. So he had to sell his business. So there's a lot of huge opportunity as it relates to business brokering, which is why we want to make sure that we put a highlight on that for these residential and even commercial agents and brokers that are out there. Because I hear residential agents say, oh my goodness, inventory is slow, or I'll pay attention to some of these real estate mastermind sites on Facebook where it's made up of, thousands of agents from all brokerages, where they're like, I haven't had a closing yet this year. And again, it's only February 1st, but
Right.
they're concerned. And so I love spending time each and every day networking with agents, especially in the residential markets, because they do have so many connections that they don't even know exist. They're always talking houses or maybe an investment property with their client, but they never ask them if they want to buy a business or if they have a business that they've built and want to sell. It's a question that never comes up. And once they start working that into their speak, it was somewhere upwards of, I think, about $11 million in referrals last year that transpired between residential agents and the business brokers just in EXP alone. And so that's not counting all the clientele of residential agents that exist at all the other brokerages. So it's a huge opportunity for those agents looking to build another revenue stream for themselves. And now they have experts to refer that business to that can walk through that process and get the deal done. And so, I think that's something that, I don't know if you're spending time. I know you spend a lot of time on social media, and you're one of the few business brokers that have used that as a platform. How is that working? Are you educating agents on social media about this?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, my big plan now that we kind of got our business sold is, yeah, no, to be more focused on my content. Because in my other business, that was a big part of how we were able to grow. We did a lot of different things, from SMS to social media to every aspect of marketing. But yeah, so far, really, I've used EXP's workplace chat quite a bit, with residential agents. So I've had success working with other residential agents on referrals. That's a big aspect of, I think, how to gain listings, because it is, they can still make good money when they
Yeah.
convert. So I mean, that opportunity is good. But social media is a huge kind of, I guess, avenue that I'll be really pushing for in 24. And I think it's really the best way to do is educate. I mean, you see a lot of these influencers even now starting to talk about the baby boomers retiring. You're seeing the people that I follow starting to have this as a more common topic inside of their network. So I can kind of see the wheel spinning on people wanting to buy. They say it's boring businesses are for sale, like the HVACs, the electrical, but there is so many different businesses that are going to be coming up because, like you said, I think there's 10,000 baby boomers a day that retire right now. So it's just insane amount of people that are going to be looking to exit and knowing how to properly exit so they don't just, sell the real estate and liquidate the business. I mean, there's a lot of times that they leave a lot of money on the table. And, having somebody like my wife that can value these things and, get the right value for what they're trying to sell is important too. Cause I'm sure there's a lot of savvy buyers and investors that are trying to buy these at a low multiple. And, if you do this right, you should be able to get what, you built over the last 20, 30 years of owning your business. You should get the amount that you should be paid.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a great story. And, and this is, I'm going to tell this because I want anybody that's in the real estate industry to really take this in. But, we were giving a talk, a conversation like this at one of the events. And, this agent, this real estate agent has been in the business about 3 years. He's in a rural market in Kentucky, very rural market, low population, right? So the price points of homes that he sells is around 120,000, and but a rock star doing a lot of deals. It takes a lot of deals to make a lot of money though in that market. And he was listening about the whole business broker opportunity. And so this was a few months back. It was still warm because he happened to go that Saturday to play golf with his dad at the golf course. And they stopped on the ninth hole to go in and have lunch. And they're sitting at the bar having lunch, probably a beer. And the guy down from him is talking about, yeah, I own X amount of childcare centers. And this agent hears and says, are you looking to exit? He goes, as a matter of fact, I am. This agent has referred that over to a business broker. The valuation's complete. It's a $25 million business. This is true when I say this. His referral fee on that deal, when it sells and closes, will be more than him selling 60 homes each year for 3 years. Think about that. Think about that. All because he was there when we were talking about business broker opportunities. And so that's how easy it could be. It's just asking that question. And he didn't have to do anything but get the guy's information and say to the guy, my business partners are business experts, and that's what they do. And then he gets them in a conversation. And so that's what we're saying out there, agents that are listening, going, when is the next house going to come for me to list? Or when is the next buyer going to call me to want to go see houses? Guys, reach into who you know, your family, your friends, your past clients, potential clients, and just ask these questions because there's so much business right at your fingertips. And again, we don't want you to become an expert. You got the expert. You got the expert right here with Matt Berg and his wife. We're asking for the referral opportunities because that's what's so great about, what is out there happening. And again, this seller that owns the childcare centers, he's at that age. He's 70 years old and he doesn't have anyone to leave that business to. Nobody. So, and who wants to leave $25 million on the table, right?
No one does. And I mean,
you want to sell, get that money, and spend hopefully the next 20 years of his life spending that money and enjoying life, because that's one heck of a business he's built.
Yeah, that's a huge business. I mean, to get to 25 million, you're doing a serious amount of revenue and profit. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that is true. I mean, really, it can be as easy as sitting at the golf course or overhearing a conversation and, just putting yourself out there in real estate or business brokerage or M&A or however you want to put
Yeah.
it. That's really the key is just asking those questions, getting to know more people and just and broadening that network.
Absolutely. So, Matt, tell us what 2024 is going to be all about for you and Brianna.
Oh, so this is like I'm really excited because I mean, for the last 10 years, we had our family business that we just sold on the 18th of January. My dad gets to retire, do whatever he wants to do, him and my mom. And now for me, I kind of get to really focus on what I've been kind of striving for and getting ready to do. So 24 is going to be a big year. My goal is to get to 15 listings, which is pretty ambitious, but I think it's very possible. And then helping people get to feel that experience that I just got to feel of selling their business, the weight off their shoulders, and hopefully a great payday as well. And just kind of building on what I've kind of already learned and continue to educate myself, really push content in 24. That's a big part of my goal. We're gonna launch a course too this year, probably in March or maybe early April. They'll basically take an owner that's thinking about selling and walk them through the whole process. We already built the whole course, so it's and then we partnered with a really cool software company that's going to make it so dynamic and really easy to understand, so they really can feel where their pitfalls may be in their business, and then we can in real time show them what that would do to their valuation of their company. So I'm
Oh,
really
that's
excited
going to
about
be
that.
exciting. And I mean, that's something too that a real estate agent could push their client to, or, their friend or whoever, and say, you own a business, maybe take a look at this to see, because, that's the thing we run into a whole lot is that, you'll have businesses that are completely operable without that owner present, right? Because their systems, everything's running. And then
Mhm.
you've got what a lot of us are used to and know is that that owner is got his hands in everything, right? And
Mhm.
so, the one thing people don't want to do necessarily is buy a job. And so there is that time period of, okay, how do we sell this business if you're not in it? Right?
Mhm.
And that's probably the most difficult thing to go through with these business owners.
Oh, for sure, Stephanie, you hit it right on the head. I mean, that was my hardest thing I think I had to do in our business was to go from owner operator to professionally managed.
Yep.
But with that being said, is I think it opened us up to so many buyers, and the company that ended up buying us, they ended up using both my managers that were running the business without us, and now they're managing two stores. It's only been 2 weeks, so
Oh, wow.
having two people. Just getting it to one's a huge challenge, but we had two people that could run our business without us. And that was the key because it just opens you up to a whole pool of buyers that are looking for something that cash flows, makes them money, and they don't have to spend a ton of time on it. And that
That's
really
right.
is a huge key to getting your business sold.
That's right. And I want to make one point here too, but just in case we haven't said this, you and I know so much about the business side of things that we just assume. But, Matt's expertise is selling businesses with or without real estate. There doesn't have to be real estate
Mhm.
involved. And that the business is a transaction in itself. And so for those that run into those clients, I just want to make sure we make that clear because a lot of businesses don't own real estate. They lease their space, and that's totally fine too.
Yeah, and a lot of times when people sell a business, they keep their real estate and then lease it back to the
Yeah.
company buying them. That's really common um, option for them as well. So I mean, yeah, there's so many different things when it comes to deal making inside. Commercial real estate is pretty set, but on the business brokerage side, when you're selling a business, there is so many deal options, and be creative on how you can get a deal done because that really I feel like is a skill is helping the buyer and the seller come to terms on what makes sense and what's favorable and what works best for both parties.
Oh, for sure. Because look, we've both seen it. You might have the perfect business, and then you find the perfect buyer. But if the financing, if all of the little fine print can't get worked out, the deal never happens, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's a work of art, I think, a strategic and a work of art when you make both, come to fruition. That's for darn sure. And that's why there's probably less than, well, I know there's less than 500 certified business intermediaries in the United States of America. And I think there's less than 7,000 that identify as a business broker. They don't have credentials or a license per se, but, we'll stick with that lower number because you do in fact have both. So that's important.
Yeah. It is, I think that like when you kind of talk about too, like that deal making aspect is you learn that stuff in the coursework to kind of understand that. But one of the things they taught a lot us about is the 80% of deals have some type of seller financing option to it. So how you structure that, sometimes it's really beneficial to an owner because they can charge interest, make an extra ton more amount of money, and kind of basically elongate that what they're going to get paid after if they're going to retire. They might make the same amount of income they made for the last 10 years just by doing some type of seller financing. So you just got to have the right buyer to do something like that.
That's right. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see what you do in 2024, Matt. You've impressed me for the amount of time that I've known you, and I'm glad to say we're in business together. And love Brianna. Like I said, we got to get her on CRE Power Hour and talk about valuation. That's what we've got to do because she's
for sure.
She's a genius, total genius. But glad you chose EXP and can't wait to see what we all do. And look, we're going to have it in the comments of the post, how you can reach out to Matt Berg and, run a business by him, run an opportunity by him. He'll let you know if there's money to be made there for you. Right?
Yes, for sure. And thank you, Stephanie, for, being a mentor, always a person that I can call, text. I mean, I know you're so busy, but you've always given me the time, you and Sam and your team. And we're so appreciative of everything you guys have done for us.
That's what we love to do. All right, everyone. Till next time on Global Domination. Thanks, Matt. Bye all.
Thank you. Take care.